Good morning, everyone. It's Michael Furlonger here, author of God, the Master of Sin, and Satan the Beautiful, and founder of ChristianWritersBookstore.com. You may notice a completely different setup. My wife and I moved early September, so we're very excited. And yeah, it's just a nice new room. Got a bit more space here. Anyway, so as you know, I like to sit down with the authors on Christian Writers Bookstore and just talk to them, get into their deep, darkest secrets. And so today we're sitting down with Joy Harding, the author of Boundary Waters: Search and Rescue Beyond Belief. So we're gonna talk to her. I'm gonna try not to give any spoilers, but I just got I'm about a third of the way through, and I got some. I'll just stop talking. I'm gonna switch it over to Joy and let her say hello, and then we're gonna pick her brain for a bit. Hello, Joy.
Hi, it's good to be back.
Anyway, so that's Joy. So as I said, I don't want to give any details away, but I am about. I don't even want to try to hint that to let Joy know how far I'm into the book, but so I'm gonna let her just kind of maybe share some details on this first book. As you guys know, there's been a raffle, and we're gonna pick a winner at the end. But I want Joy just to share some details on this first book, and then we're gonna get into the second one. Here's Joy. So Joy, can you just tell us a bit about what's in this book, why people will want to read it?
I would be happy to. I love to talk about my book. I was hoping you'd talk about my book, but no, this is my book, and I'm very pleased with how it came out. The book is fiction, Christian fiction. I would put it in the genre romance, suspense. As this is a trilogy, this is the first book in a trilogy, so as the trilogy progresses, you're going to see kind of a switch between a romance between two people to a more of a family saga. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to give a lot away. This particular book, we start with the protagonist in chapter 1. We meet Jack Lockwood, and Jack is a physician, and we find out in the course of that chapter just about everything you'd ever wanted to know about Jack. And he sounds like a pretty decent guy. He's a guy who's frustrated by the weather as the book opens. And as we progress through the book, you find that Jack had a lot of issues growing up, particularly with faith. And you follow Jack through his faith journey, and you follow Jack through meeting someone who is going to be very significant in his life, and how Jack processes the difficult things that happen to him, and how he processes not being in control. Because being in control is a really important thing to Jack. He's a physician, he's a very good physician, and I think the biggest regrets in his life are those times when he hasn't been able to be in control. Is that sufficient? Do you want me to go further? I'm trying not to give away the story.
No, that's plenty. That's the same thing. I don't want to give away too much details, but for anyone who has watched our first interview, the book had not yet come out, but Joy had shared the first 3 or 4 chapters with me, and it definitely hooked me in. And if I may just interject my own personal writing, is that it's so difficult to keep people engaged while you're building the story. You know, you want to tell you want to keep people interested, so you try to tell them, oh, the sun was setting, oh, the trees were green, oh, you know, you want to try to give that detail, but you're also trying to build on why is this important. So I want just to shoot that out there. So the first 3 or 4 chapters that you shared with me got me hooked, and Joy generously sent me this copy. So you won't get this copy, but Joy will send you a copy at the end of this interview. One of the things that I did notice, and I want to talk a bit about this, is that I didn't notice this until just a few weeks ago, actually. But the sun on the picture, I don't know if you can see it there, is actually a small cross, and so I didn't notice that because I'm like, where's it? Where are they going? Where's they going with this romantic relationship? Because I grew up in the church. I'm like, where are they going? Where are they going? Hold up. And I saw the cross, and what I thought about it was that it shared the same struggle as these two people are building a relationship. They're getting into some of that gray area that every Christian knows, that gray area of a relationship. And I read through this one chapter again, not trying to give details, and then I looked at the cross and I was like, oh, okay, I see that she's not veering people away from scripture, but just being honest that the struggle is often very real. Um, okay, I don't want to take up too much time because I know you're very busy. You've told me about all your book tours and everything, but can you share on what is Boundary Waters Search and Rescue?
Is the organization that Jack, along with his business partner and longtime friend, have formed. They have formed in this story the very first professional organization committed to search and rescue in a combined service sort of sense. Dan, who we meet in the first chapter, Dan Harrison, is the chief of police of Ely. His background is law enforcement, and so he brings the law enforcement aspect to this combined service. Jack brings the medical aspect, and they have, as the book opens, they've expanded beyond just the two of them. They have, as I see it, two teams in Ely and two teams in Grand Marais, serving on the US side, serving the Dunflint entrance and the Ely entrance to the BWCA. The Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, for the uninitiated, is a very large wilderness area at the northern border of Minnesota. It shares the border actually with the Quetico, which is a similar wilderness area on the Canadian side of the border. And there are canoe routes all through this that follow the routes of the voyagers. And there's also campsites and hiking sites and all sorts of things. The problem being is that these wilderness areas are used by people who are not experts in outdoor safety. And so very often there are emergencies. And so my vision for this is Boundary Waters Search and Rescue is just one of the places that would be called if there is an emergency in the backcountry. So that's where that beginning of the title, that is this organization that these two men have formed. And they've done that at the request of the United States Forest Service, which is the controlling body of the Boundary Waters. And then the subtitles are more from the personal lives of these characters, that God acts in ways that are beyond our belief and beyond our imagination. And so that's where that comes from. And I am going to talk about the cover for just a minute, because I'm very, very pleased to announce that this photograph, the background photograph, was taken by my husband in Ely. And then the graphic artist at my publisher superimposed the canoe and the couple. And I asked them, I said, I want a cross on this page somewhere, because that's really what this all points back to, is God. God in nature, God in relationships, God in people. And so they put that cross in the sun, and I just loved it. When I saw that, it was just like, this is wonderful. So I'm done talking about the cover now.
That's awesome. You have various parts in your book where you have like what was it called, like subnote, where you're like, this store is in fact a real store. This restaurant
Yep.
does have the best pizza in the land, or whatever it is. Like you have subtitles, so it is a work of fiction, but it's based on a realm of reality, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned you had to speak to so you had a publisher, publisher, and I assume an editor and all that. So for the writers that hopefully are listening to the video, do you want to share a bit on the pros and cons, the pitfalls, like just the overall process of going from a manuscript to a published project, a published book?
This book was never supposed to end up on any place other than spiral bound on my shelf. I write for relaxation. I write for pleasure. But this story came to me so strongly, and for a long time I couldn't type fast enough to get it out. And once I did, I had my husband read it. Not much of a romance guy, but he read it, and my mom. Family. It was fairly safe to share, because then if anyone says this is really terrible, I don't feel quite so badly. But they both liked it, and they thought, there are some changes that need to be made, and certainly there were a lot of changes that needed to be made. And then I have a very good friend who is a professional editor. She's got 30 years of experience. She's edited nonfiction, like state Supreme Court documents, and also fiction series that are very popular. She's very good. We were talking about something totally different. And I told her that she asked me if it was keeping me busy. So I said, I wrote a book. And she offered to do a reading of it free of charge, just send it to her. And I thought, okay, I can do this. I can give my baby to someone else. And I did. And I got the thing that was so, when I got it back, I got it. She corrected in Word, but that manuscript was covered with ink, figurative ink. And I thought, okay, well, this at least tells me that I'm not writing for the masses. And then I got an email from her, and she said, I hope you don't take this wrong, because I think you need to pursue publication on this. She said, this is a really good story. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it's a really good story, and I can help you make it better. And she did. And so I put it up on, I'm sorry, Michael, I don't remember the name. I think it's Christian Book Distribute. It was an organization that allowed you for $100 to put a 3,000 word excerpt up online. And they say that different publishers and agents come to there to look. And I thought, well, okay, this may be nothing, but it might be worth $100 just to do this. And I did that. And I got lots of responses. I got responses from traditional publishers. I got responses from notorious vanity publishers. And I've got responses from some that are in the hybrid publishing kind of thing. And one of the things, as an attorney in particular, I wanted was to maintain legal control of my characters. And in the States, most traditional publishing, I don't know if it goes worldwide, but in the States, most traditional publishers take that control from you. It's part of the contract. And so I ended up getting an offer to publish from a small Christian hybrid out of South Carolina, and that is Covenant Publishing. And working with them has been a pleasure. It's certainly been a learning curve, but I'm very pleased with the end result, with the quality of the end result. And they also put the book through rigorous editing. And so by the time I got through these books, they are very well edited. And yet when I got the books back in hard form, they send me copies to vet, and I still found like 4 mistakes. But these were mistakes that I probably inserted in editing in the back and forth. So it still isn't perfect, but I'm still very pleased with it. And I'm very pleased with the help I got from Covenant Publishing.
Hey guys, sorry about that. I made a mistake, but now we're back. I just finished saying that as the founder of Christian Writers Bookstore, I don't want to push any type of publishing on anybody. I don't. And I was saying that I've also had dealt with I don't know what you call it, hybrid publishing or vanity publishing, whatever group they would go into, and I had so many issues. And then Joy started talking, so I want to just pan it back to her so that she can finish her thoughts on that one. So here she is.
I think that, I mentioned my publisher's name, and I am very happy, but I need to tell you that I did some very, very deep research before I went with anybody. And I think that is something that any writer out there who thinks about going with in the middle somewhere between self-publishing and I didn't go with self-publishing because I simply don't have a lot of tech knowledge, as you can witness to, and between that and traditional publishing. I mean, there's a whole slew of people out there willing to take your money, and you need to be very, very careful about how you vet them. I was fortunate. I also looked into that, and I also read my contract very carefully and made changes where I didn't like what the contract had to say. But yeah, it's a much more complex world now if you want to publish. There's a lot of openness because you can self-publish. You can use these. In my mind, there's a difference between vanity publishers and hybrid publishers, because I dealt with some vanity publishers, and the amounts of money that they were asking me for were crazy. And I'm not going to mention any names. I'm just going to say, do your research, pick what is best for you, but be cautious. Don't just take what they're saying to you at face value. And the same thing goes with traditional publishing. Be sure you read your contract. Be sure it's what you want. And that's all I'll say. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's great to get this this knowledge, this information out. The people that I originally went with for God the Master of Sin, that they showered it with praises, and then they're like, oh, by the way, it's gonna cost you and I'm like, wait, I thought you took care of it. And anyway, and they ended up getting sued and they're out of business now. So
Oh
I
my
ended up
gosh.
going with self-publishing. But what I did want to say, regardless of how you choose to go about it, Christian Writers Bookstore is always here to help with self-publishing and just promotion as it is. But what I really want to highlight from Joy's testimony, I guess, is just the importance of having a community, whether that's a small knit family community, or if you have a church that is willing to devote some time to reading what's your work, whether that's chapter by chapter or like spending a month and just saying, let's read this book together, like starting a book club at your church or online. I'm trying to work more with that with Christian Writers Bookstore, as Joy knows. But that's just what I wanted to highlight from that topic. Now, the second book, you mentioned it at our meeting last week. Can you share a bit on where your second book is going to take the characters, the title, of course, and when we can expect it?
The title of the book is Boundary Water Search and Rescue. So we continue with that tag because it follows this organization as well as the two men that founded it. And then it's Boundary Water Search and Rescue, Beyond Imagination. So we've gone beyond belief, now beyond imagination, all paraphrasing scripture, that God acts in ways that are beyond belief and beyond imagination. So more than we can think about. And the book picks up about 5.5 months after the first book ends. So we're not moving very far We're not moving very far forward in time. I can talk, I really can. So, and we pick up just on a May afternoon where where the two main characters are at home, and we take them through quite an adventure. And one of my points in this book was to say, be careful what you pray for, because God takes those prayers very seriously. And I also think that God has a sense of humor when answering prayers. And so this takes these two characters through another development in their relationship where their family grows, and they end up going, wow, I mean, this was beyond our imagination to even think that God would do this. So that's basically what book 2 is about. And it is due out the end of October or the beginning of November. If we're still working on that. Where I am in the process is in cover art, which is it's so fun because you see the book and all of a sudden it looks like a book. So that's where I am, and that's about the book. And I'm very excited. Every beta reader I have, my editor, and of course my husband and my mother, because they're family, every one of them said this is a better book. And I think in some respects that's true, because as you said, in book 1, in Beyond Belief, there's all this building of a world. And that can kind of get bogged down at times, especially when you're a new writer like I am. You have to develop this whole world that this sits in, the fact that Boundary Waters Search and Rescue, what it is and who founded it. And, you know, you have to do all of that, and you have to develop the female characters' background too. So by the time you actually get to telling the story, it can seem a little slow. I'm hoping that didn't happen. I tried to intersperse a lot of different things with it, but I think the second book doesn't suffer from that. I can just take off and everybody knows who I'm talking about. This book actually can be read as a standalone. So if someone picks up book 2, they'll get a brief synopsis of all the characters that were in book 1 that are in book 2. They get that before they even get started. So they can read book 2 and still know what's going on. I'm hoping then they'll want to read book 1 or book 3.
That's awesome. As I said, yeah, I totally agree. Sometimes I can get lost in the description of the world, then I lose the character. But then other times I get so lost in the conversation with the character who live in the world, so they don't describe it, that you can lose your audience. So
Right.
so I totally know that that battle that writing can often have. Um, Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, we did a raffle, just a small raffle to get people interested, and Joy is going to give a lucky winner a free copy of Boundary Waters Search and Rescue Beyond Belief. Hopefully, you can read that by the time the second one comes out, or you know the person that's read the first one, and then you can get ready for Christmas. But anyway, I'm going to let Joy.
Yes.
Sorry?
Nothing. Nothing.
All right, I'm going to let Joy pick a number between 1 and 10, and then at the end of this video, I'm going to give her that person's information, and then she can send out a private email to that person to get the mailing information. So Joy, please pick a number between 1 and 10. Drum roll, please.
7.
All right, lucky number 7. I'm going to send Joy a private email so that your name isn't blasted over or people aren't searching for you on Facebook or anything like that. But anyway, Joy, do you have anything you would like to add, I guess, before we sign out?
Say a real thank you to the community you've allowed me to become part of, Christian Writers Bookstore, and getting to know you. It has been such a support to me, because as a new writer, I'm caught in a morass of all of the things I should do, need to do, and don't know how to do. And you have been, and Christian Writers Bookstore has been a tremendous support. And I am so grateful for the chance you gave me a year ago when we had our first interview. And now for this one, I'm grateful for the tech support you give me when I try to get onto meetings. I'm just grateful for the presence of my book on your website and your support of me. Your kind words about my book are wonderful, but more so, it's just knowing somebody who's been through the process and who's willing to help. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Hopefully my face isn't going all blushed red or anything like that. It's uh, as I mentioned before, it's always great to get support, whether that's physical support, someone reading your book, or just getting the moral support of, hey, you're doing great, and it's great to be a part of it. I'm a part of Joy's let's say fan club, your email membership, and what is your website so that we can put in the links in the description below? Okay, all right. Joy will send me her website, and then I can put in the description below. You wanna sign up for that. In the last newsletter that she sent out, it was just a big backstory of all these all the characters, which as she said might be helpful, especially if you're gonna just jump into book 2 as opposed to skipping book 1. But anyway, Joy, thank you for the kind words, for the shout out. Be sure to check out her book on ChristianWritersBookstore.com/Joy subtraction dash Harding. Follow Christian Writers Bookstore on Instagram, where a lot of blogs get shared daily. And on Facebook, you can join the group Christian Writers Bookstore and the page Christian Writers Bookstore, and subscribe to the YouTube channel Christian Writers Bookstore. And that's all I got to say, I guess. Joy, it's been a blessing to talk with you again. It's always a joy to hear from you, and everyone else. I look forward to hearing what you think. Leave a comment below, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Bye now.